This is Alicia's Electric Keys from Native Instruments and Galaxy Instruments. The overall library size is about 8.5 gigs, and it runs here in Kontakt. So this piano is modeled after the Yamaha CP-70. It's sampled from Alicia's actual Yamaha CP-70. And the Yamaha CP-70 is a different type of a grand piano. It is an electric piano. It lacks a soundboard, and it has fewer strings than a standard grand piano. So it can also, it can really fit well within the context of a mix, whereas some grand pianos might take over everything. You can actually use this here in a much more dense mixes and still be able to hear it. It's used by several different very famous artists, not just Alicia Keys. So in this video, we're going to go over how to use this, check out your macros, check out your instrument tab, your effects tab. As you can see, it's a fully featured effects section here. But before we do that, I want to play you some samples of the Yamaha CP-70 or Alicia's Electric Keys so you can get an idea of sounds that you can get from this piano. It's not just your standard piano sound. There's all kinds of different sounds that you can get. Now, after listening to this, if you think, well, I'm not sure if I can use a Yamaha CP-70 sound in my music, you might want to come over to Spotify and check out the CP-70 Classics playlist that someone put together. And all of these songs use the CP-70 in different ways. Like I said, tons of different sounds that you can get with this piano. So check out this playlist, and you're going to hear a variety of sounds from a variety of different artists in different ways that they have used the Yamaha CP-70. All right, so with that said, let's head into the demo section so you can check out some possible sounds that you can get with Alicia's Electric Keys. All right, sounds nice. This is more of a standard neo-grand sound. This is the Head in the Clouds preset, and this is what she used on the Girl on Fire track. More of an 80s sound here. I think it sounds pretty cool. Nice vibrato sound. Kind of an eerie, plucky sound here. Sort of a Rhodesy sound. Sort of a synthy sound here. Again, another synthy kind of a sound. That sounds pretty cool. So there it is, a quick sample of some possible sounds that you can get with Alicia's electric keys. You can also get way more sounds than that. We're going to go over here over the interface, check out how to use this here. So let's start here on the main tab. So on the main tab, you're going to see the piano. It's also going to light up whenever you play something. You can see your presets here, your macros here, but you can also see your presets and your macros on your other pages here. Just for now, let me turn that noise loop off just so we don't have that playing the entire time. So the main page here basically just features that piano and then quick access to your macros and your presets. All right, over to your presets, you can click right here. You can also use your Kontakt snapshots, which are up here, same thing. Okay, and whenever if you create something, you know, you head into your instruments, you adjust things, and you want to save your own preset, then you'll come up here to your Kontakt presets, or your Kontakt snapshots is what they call them. Click that, and then you can save a snapshot and then access it right up here. So as far as the preset browser goes, pretty simple to figure out if you've ever used any kind of preset browser before. If I want a pickup sound, a clean sound that's kind of poppy, I can then say I have this on. If I click here, you're gonna hear like a little sample real quick, as long as you have that speaker on, or turn that off. So maybe I'll just grab that sound. Use these arrows. Like I said, tons of sounds here. All right, so that is your preset browser, pretty simple to figure out. Then we'll head over to the Instruments tab. We'll get back to the macros in a second. Over to your Instruments tab. First up, you're going to see your two different sources. So you have your pickup and your microphone. You can turn those on or off just by clicking them. So right now the pickup's on, just the overall level of that. Turn on the microphone sound. Again, just the overall level of each of these here. Your sources will allow you to basically balance some of these other sounds like the hammer, the overtones, etc., etc. You can skew them one way or the other, or also turn them off in a certain source. So maybe you don't want the hammer in the microphone. You can just pop that off. Okay. Same thing for your main. You can balance this out. Or just turn it off right here instead of turning it off there. So under color, you can make it basically either softer or harder. Tonal shift, making it darker or brighter overall. Let me just play this little section right there. Make sure I loop it. Darker, brighter. Then you have your dynamic range. So dynamic range is just the difference between your quiet notes and your loud notes. So if you're using maybe pre-made MIDI or something and it has a huge dynamic range, you might want to take this down the other way. So if I have it way up here versus down here, all right, there's less of a difference between the quieter keys and the louder keys you can see here. If I play a low velocity, it's still pretty loud whenever we pull this down or pull it up here, and a huge difference. Right. So for those of you who don't know, the built-in keyboard here in Kontakt, if you click it way up here, that's a low velocity. Down here is a high velocity. Okay. Then you have your attack. Now this, generally you're going to leave your attack all the way down, but if you want to get creative, you can pull that up. Essentially, the attack is going to be, if you pull it up, it's going to make the note slide in instead of just instantly come on. So kind of synth-like, especially once you start combining it with your effects. If you put a delay on there, some dirt on there, whatever, you can make it sound however you want. Versus all the way down here, just comes on. Now for your release, with that sample turned off, let's just pull the release up here. Release the note, rings out, right? Pull it way down here. Okay. Or you can turn on the release samples. So now, whenever you release a note, it's going to play a release sample. Just adjust that however you want. You can hear that release sample there. Versus off. Okay. If it's off, it basically acts like a standard attack and release. Okay. Over to our tone. Now we have punch samples. Let's turn those on, of course. Now the punch samples, these were recorded by hitting the tone bar with a tiny hammer. Okay. So use that however you want. Then you have sub. So turn that on. You can actually add sub to the lower notes. And you can set that note here. So whatever's below this will have the sub added to it. So if I play up here, no sub added down here. Adding sub, okay. Now for your low key, this is basically to balance the overall volume of those lower keys. Because sometimes, depending on what you're playing, if you're playing a lot of low end here, it might take over your higher keys. So if I play this here, those low keys really come out. If I need to balance that, I can just turn this down a bit, make those lower keys a bit quieter. Then your overtones are basically going to add liveliness to the overall sound. Again, turn it on, turn it off. Same thing for resonance. If you want it to resonate whenever you're pressing your sustain pedal. Or pull it down. Whatever you prefer. So then we have our noises section. We have hammer noises and pedal noises. Again, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to hear that hammer and pedal sounds, again, turn them on or off. Just the overall level. Then you have a noise loop that you can set. Choose whatever sort of electronic sound that you want, maybe tape. Make sure you turn it on. And then you have this skip. Let me turn this off. Then you have this skip effects button. So with that turned on, it's going to bypass this noise loop. Will bypass whatever you have set up in your effects, which can be very important, especially if you have, say, a lot of compression going on here. Right. So let's come back here to our instruments, turn on the noise loop. Okay. So right now we're skipping the effects. If I turn this off, now it's going to run through the effects. So now it's getting boosted even more because now it's running through the compressor and whatever other effects that we have. Okay. So you can always skip effects for your noise and just have that go directly out. Then we have stereo spread for the DI and stereo spread for the mic. Those, again, pretty self-explanatory. Make it super wide, make it mono, turn that on, or we can invert it way down here. So of course, whatever sounds good to you. All right, over to the effects section. So you can add up to 5 different effects. Just click a box here and you can dial down into the exact type of effect that you want. So here's a phaser, for example. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the different effects. They're pretty simple to figure out. Dirt in there, maybe. You can also grab them and change the slot that they're in. You do have a preamp, which you can turn on or off. drive in there maybe. Change the tube type. Overall tone circuit there, tremolo, all that good stuff. Remove effect there, turn effect off here, bypass it basically. And all of your effects are going to have presets for the exact effect. Use an EQ, presets for that. Or we could go to maybe some sort of a modulation. Grab this delay, tons of different presets just for that delay. Okay, let's just remove all of this stuff for now. You can also grab this little handle here, this sort of parallel split, and just drag it over. Now we can split this apart, and we can add effects for just, say, the pickup or just the microphone signal. Okay, so if I wanted, I don't know, let's just say a chorus on the pickup, you can do that. Then let's go with maybe a distortion. So that's just on the pickup. So I come back here, I turn the pickup down. There's no distortion, no chorus on the mic signal. Okay, so that's how that works. Of course, set up whatever you want for your splits, or you can always pull this back down, and both of your sources will run through whatever effects you have. You can also, there are also full effects presets. Just click up here, and maybe I go to drive or something, grab that, and it loads up, in this case, 3 different effects. Also changes our compressor and reverb. Okay, so a lot of different ways to call up, presets for different sections here. Now you also have a built-in compressor, EQ, delay, and reverb right here at the end. So of course, turn it on, set it up however you want, presets for that as well. Again, just basic EQ controls that everyone already knows. Don't need to go over that. You also have a built-in delay and reverb. So here's the delay. We can choose replica or twin, and then here's different types, and of course presets for that. Of course, set up whatever you want. Sounds kind of cool. Or just turn it off there. And your reverb, algorithmic, convolution, or plate. Okay, let's turn that off. Then over here in the settings section, we have our overall tuning. Generally, you're just going to leave it on, say, stretched, but you can make it equal tuning if you want. Your reference pitch and your detune, again, you're probably not going to mess with this, but there it is if you want it. Then you have your response. So we have extended range on because the CP-70 actually only has 73 keys, and this extends it down to your full 88. Okay, let's turn it on. You can see the purple right there. That is your extended range. Round robin, of course, you're going to want to leave that on. You have silent key, repedal, half pedal, all basic stuff that you can turn on or off that pretty much everybody knows what these are here. If you want repedal, you want the silent key. Okay. Animations on or off. Right now they are on. This refers to the animations that you see there. If you don't want to see that, you can head over to your response and turn those off. Then you will not see them. Turn those back on. Then we have our MIDI macro page here. So for our velocity curve, that basically just means I'm just playing like this. If I want it to be harder, so a soft velocity ends up being a higher velocity. Now I really have to push hard to get a loud note there, a loud velocity there. It really kind of depends on how you play in your specific keyboard. If it reacts a certain way, you can always change that up manually or change it around here with your presets. Probably leave that on linear. You have your pitch bend range. We all know what that is. And then we have our controller here for our different macros. So we're going to get to our macros here in a second. But what this does here is, let's say I want to assign a knob on my keyboard or something to macro 1 here. I can assign that to whatever CC number that I want, or I can just hit learn and then turn some knob on my keyboard or controller. And that way I have direct access to my macros directly on my keyboard. Okay. All right. So now let's get into our macros. So you're going to see your macros on every page, wherever you happen to be. What macros do is they change different settings without you having to actually be there on that page. So if I just hover over something and I want to see, it says tonal shift, what is that? I can hover over it. I can click that now, and now it takes me right to the page where this is mapped to. So now I move this, it's mapped right here to that tonal shift. Color is mapped up there. Of course, we can always change this, by the way. Dynamic range is mapped here. Some of these things have on and off buttons depending on the parameter that they're mapped to. So in this case, this is mapped to the sub. Instead of having to come back here to the instrument page, I can do it directly from my macros here. Now we can also set up our own macros. So to do that, let's just come over here to instrument, and now we have this little pencil icon. So if I click that, now I can map these to basically whatever I want that has a white dot or even a color dot on it. You can also get rid of a macro. So if I just click that button, it just completely goes away. Now, if I want to map this here, I can click the light. In this case, it's like a green light. Click that. And now maybe I want that mapped to resonance. I can click resonance, and now it's mapped to resonance. Okay. So that's pretty simple to figure out, but it also gets pretty powerful once you include your effects. So let's just say I come in here and let's grab something like, I don't know, go for this vibrato. So clicking here to the vibrato, you're going to notice now, as long as we have that pencil icon turned on, you're going to see a little dot right there. So we can actually map a macro knob on each of our different effects. So whatever effect that you have, let's maybe go to dirt here. It also has a macro knob there. So we can map those to our macro knobs. But what do they do, right? So if I move a macro knob here on our vibrato, let me just play here. Bypass that dirt for now. Actually, let me change the... There we go. Change that up a bit. So right now my macro knob on my effect doesn't really do anything. So in that case, we'll come over here to this up and down arrows next to each parameter, and I can click and drag, and now we can add basically a range of, as I move this now, it's kind of hard to see. I'll zoom way in so you can see it. So see this little dot there moving along that range. Okay, so we're setting the range of the changes that we want. All right, so maybe a little there. Maybe we'll move this here, move that this way, and move the mix way up there. So now whenever I move my macro knob, all of those things change, right? Really vibrato there. Pull it down. So we can then map this macro knob to whatever macro knob that we want. So maybe instead of reverb, just click this, and then I'll click right there. Okay, so now I can move all of that with my macro knob. Of course, I can have that programmed to my keyboard or controller. So now whenever I'm on my, say, front page here, my main page, I can just adjust that directly here. And then again, click here, takes me over to that page. Pretty cool, right? So of course, this can get as complicated as you want it to get. Again, anything that has a little dot next to it, whenever you turn on that pencil, can be mapped to a macro. So like I said, you can get as crazy as you want with this stuff. So we have dirt here, for example. Let's turn that one back on. Set up your overall sound that you want. I'm gonna go kind of crazy right now. Okay. Then I'll adjust the mix there. Maybe the bias, the tilt this way. And then we'll really let's pull the drive down here and pull the drive up there. So now whenever I move my macro, we're getting tons of different changes there. And then again, you can map that. There we go. To a macro knob. Okay, so that is your macro knobs. Spend some time with your macros, spend some time with your instrument and effects tab. You can really get some really cool, strange sounds with this piano. Like I said, it's not just your standard, grand piano sounds. I like to mess with this attack, for example. Okay, I'm fine with that vibrato, a little bit of dirt in there. Maybe we'll do some sort of a modulation on that, maybe a phaser. We need let's go for, here we go. Psych delay, this was cool. Now we're getting into like synth sound. All right, just by really messing with your attack, making it slide in there, make it like a pad. Release up, perhaps. You can have filters in here. Maybe put a filter right there. Isn't that cool? For a piano sound, that sounds totally unlike a piano. Maybe we'll go through just a couple of these different presets. Just take these tags off of there. Neo Grand is faded. We heard that already. Just that sub there. It's a little bit heavy on the low end, so in that case, I'd pull my low keys down. Like I said, you can use this piano for tons of different sounds. Here's a weird one. Obviously, that doesn't work for that sample there. But tons of different presets already set up. Echo Cloud. Phase Haze. Flying Ambience. Filtered Chops. That's cool. Got a filter in there. Very Rhodesy sounding there. It's the bright 80s. We heard this one already. I think it sounds pretty cool. Dimension, like that one. Very affected sound here. Toy Box. Wave Machine. Duke. You can also favorite presets, by the way, just by clicking that star. Dirtylicious. You might not play something that complex with this preset. Just kind of depends. So it's got an 80s-ish, Murphy's Couch. That's pretty nice, actually. Ballad Radio. There's stepped motions. Again, probably wouldn't play something that complex with that preset. There's the Head in the Clouds from the Girl on Fire. It's got a lot of noise in it. You can always adjust this stuff. Effects and bite. Turn it down a bit, perhaps. All right. So that is Alicia's electric keys, again, modeled from the Yamaha CP-70, Alicia's own CP-70. Now, if you want to pick this up for yourself, there's a few different places that you could get it. You could head over to nativeinstruments.com and pick it up right over here. Check it out a bit more. Watch a little featurette where she talks about it a bit. All right. But you can also pick this up at places like Plug and Boutique and even Sweetwater. So if you want to pick this up for yourself, I'll be sure to have links in the description below. All right. So once again, that is Alicia's electric keys from Native Instruments and Galaxy Instruments. And again, it runs here in Kontakt.